Hi everyone, and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. Pickup trucks keep on getting bigger. It's something we talk about all the time, and that size has led to the re-emergence of the compact pickup truck. And today we're taking a look at what is arguably the most important one. This is the 2022 Ford Maverick. Now in this video, we're going to crawl all over this truck. We'll talk about the engine options, talk about towing, show you the interior, and then we'll talk pricing and whether or not this truck is worth it. Let's kick this one off with the walk around on this truck we have right here. So what you are looking at is the Maverick XLT. That is the mid-trim fit with the hybrid powertrain. Yes, the standard engine in the Maverick is a hybrid. This is a 2.5-liter inline 4-cylinder Atkinson cycle engine. Total system output 191 horsepower and 155 pound-feet of torque, and this is mated to an eCVT. Now, another important thing you need to know about the hybrid, if you go for it, this truck is going to be front-wheel drive only. If you want to get all-wheel drive, you have to bump up to the larger 2-liter EcoBoost engine. Now, if you do that, you're going to be getting 250 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque sent through an 8-speed auto, and then of course all-wheel drive is optional. So that's definitely an important buying choice. If you go hybrid, you're front-wheel drive only. If you want power to all four, you got to get the bigger engine. Because the Maverick is a brand new vehicle, I want to give you guys a sense for how big it is. So first, let me hit you with the numbers. The wheelbase right here is 121.1 inches. Overall length is 199.7. Width is 72.6. And overall height is 68.7. Now, I think what we have to compare it to off the bat is the Hyundai Santa Cruz. And this truck is actually just a little bit bigger than the Santa Cruz, about 4 inches longer and about 3 extra inches in wheelbase. But if you want to compare it to something more standard like a Toyota Tacoma, well, a Tacoma has a wheelbase of 127.4 inches. So it's way longer than this Maverick is. Even the Honda Ridgeline has a wheelbase of 125 inches, and the Ridgeline's overall length comes in at 210 inches. So yes, this is truly a compact pickup truck, much smaller than those mid-sizers, but still, like I said, a hair bigger than the Hyundai Santa Cruz. Now let's look at the business end of this Maverick, and I want to start by talking about towing and payload. So payload is easy. Regardless of the model, max payload is 1,500 pounds. We will take a look at the sticker on this truck to see what it actually comes in at though. Now we have to talk towing. So base towing on this truck, 2,000 pounds, and maybe an easy way to remember it, all the front-wheel drive versions, they max out at 2,000. If you want to tow 4,000 pounds, you have to get the 4K towing package with all-wheel drive and the larger EcoBoost. And if you're wondering, once you check that box for the 4K towing package, you're getting different tires, of course the hitch, you're getting a transmission oil cooler, a higher capacity radiator, bigger cooling fan, and a lower rear drive. You'll get a 381 back here in the rear end rather than a 363. So they do make sure the towing package sounds nice and robust. So if you are pushing it right up to $4 grand, it should be good to go. Now let's take a look at the bed back here. First of all, on this XLT, the tailgate is not damped. We do have an accessory bed extender here, and this is handy, especially when you consider this is only a 4.5-foot bed, fairly short, so there are times when you're going to have stuff that really stretches out here that's quite a bit longer. Now we can show you a couple other features. There is a rail system up here in the bed, so you do have these movable tie-down cleats. That's always nice. D-rings up here right in the floor, and it is nice to have tie-downs down in the bed floor sometimes. Not everybody does that. Another thing Ford did, which I think is really cool, there's actually these threaded holes. Now you can buy accessories from Ford that use those holes, but you can also design anything you want. As long as you build something that threads in there, well, it will connect to your bed. Ford really went out of their way to tell us how they wanted this truck to be for DIY people, people that want to build their own bed setup, so they put in those little things to make that possible. I think that's smart. Finally, you do have a light down here plus a 400 watt, 120 volt plug. So not a massive amount of power, but still nice to have power down in the bed. And then on the opposite side, you can do a little shuffle here. There is a little storage bin. So that's lockable, opens up, and you can just store your stuff down in there too. Always nice to have one of those. So yeah, I think Ford paid a lot of attention to this bed. They also put in these cutouts so you can add in your lumbar dividers, and you got a spray-in bed liner. You know what? It's a small bed, yes, but it feels like any bed off of any other larger Ford product just because of all the features back here, and that's a good thing. And what about the ever-important 4x8 sheet of plywood? Manufacturers always make a big deal out of that. Now, no, it's not going to fit down here between the wheel wells. That's just under 43 inches of space. But yes, it will fit up here on top of the wheel wells, which offer you just over 52 inches of width.
Hey, folks. Do you think Steve will fit in the back of a compact pickup? Well, let's find out right now.
So, like I mentioned already, this is the Maverick Hybrid, and you do need to know, if you go for the Hybrid, you get 1 less inch of rear seat legroom back here. And now let's find out what happens when I sit in here. Now I need to mention, this was Dad's seating position. Dad got in there, adjusted it for himself. So with that in mind, this is actually fairly spacious for a compact truck, of course. My knees are just rubbing here. I do have enough headroom. The 1 extra inch I would get out of the non-hybrid model, I would definitely appreciate. And I think what really drives home the back seat to me is the fact that this Maverick has a little bit more rear seat space than the Ford Ranger does, the larger Ford Ranger. So yeah, with that in mind, I'm quite happy back here. Now I also want to show you, you are getting a 3-prong 400 watt plug here in the back. You're getting 2 USB ports. And then this little cutout here is interesting. Ford will sell you different accessories that slot in there, but they'll also give you the dimensions of that and allow you to 3D print your own whatever. You want a little table here, a holder for your phone, whatever you can dream up, you can stick in there. So again, another DIY solution. And before we go, I can also show you underneath this back seat, because the entire thing folds up like so, revealing this nice deep storage bin over here. There's more on that side, and you also get access to your battery underneath this rear seat. So yeah, there's a lot of utility going on here in the back of the Maverick. Moving up to the front here in the Ford Maverick, I guess the first thing I will say is how small it feels from the driver's seat. I wish I could drive it and tell you guys about that. We're not able to do that yet, but stay tuned to the channel. As soon as we can, you know we will. But yeah, just the size of it, it feels really compact. Plus you have a fairly high seating position here. I can really see down to the front end of that nose. Now the other thing that really kind of jumped out at me getting in here are all the different interesting materials. So this is an XLT model, this is just mid-trim, but you get this weird white plastics, little cubby up here in the dash, plus you're getting these nice orange accents to make it exciting. This tray down here is orange, but it also pulls out so you can take this rubber tray with you. I love that. A lot of storage spaces to stash your stuff. Again, this is designed for people with an active lifestyle, so to speak. And if you are out mountain biking, canoeing, kayaking, you do tend to have a lot of stuff that you keep with you. And I think they've really thought it through. The door pockets are designed for short water bottles and tall water bottles. So yeah, like I said, Ford really put in their work. There's a little cubby over here beside the touchscreen. I'm a fan so far. This is my very initial impression, but it looks good. I just can't wait to get out there and drive it.
What about that ignition key, Steve?
That's a good point. You know what? You might expect everything to be push button these days, but here on the XLT Maverick, you still got an old school key. So yes, the key feels old school, but another old school Ford technology that's still here, the number pad on the driver's side door. Ford has always done this on their trucks, and it's really handy. You remember your code, you don't need your key. I always call this the ultimate beach feature because you don't need to have your key in your pocket. You can leave it in the vehicle and just remember your code. So yeah, handy that they kept that around on the Maverick.
So I've been shooting Steven today and walking around this Maverick, and as I was doing that, I was coming up with thoughts, not just about this vehicle, but what this Maverick means to the truck market. And for the old guys like me, sure, Maverick was a car back in the 70s. We used to call it the poor man's Mustang because it was always cheaper and pretty much always just a 6-cylinder. However, they own the name, they decided to use it. I'd have rather seen them call it an F100, but that's neither here nor there. We won't quibble. The point being is that with Ford jumping into the compact market, that means that the other guys are coming. Right now, they're furiously working up at the GM and at Ram. They're going to bring other trucks, and that's just good news for the market, for you, for us, because we're going to have new vehicles. It also indicates how much the truck market has changed. It wasn't that long ago when the original Ranger went away and I kept asking Ford, well, what are you going to replace it with? And they said nothing, because the F-150 is all that anybody will ever need. And they played that game for almost 7 years before they finally realized they were wrong, and they brought back the Ranger. And now when you look at the mid-sizers, that's opened up this other market, and that's what we've got right here. This is the compact, and thank goodness, because more and more people are turning to trucks and they're becoming more and more usable. Key reason, 4 doors. Everything you're seeing got 4 doors. So once you know that the family's looked after, then yeah, you can have yourself a truck. So I'm thrilled. This is the next step, the next big evolution, and we're going to see what's coming. The big deal at the moment, we've already seen the Hyundai Santa Fe, and we don't have pricing yet. Not in Canada. US has released pricing, but in Canada, I think they're scrambling too, because Ford is being very aggressive on pricing. And that, again, good for the market, good for you. So I'm really thrilled, and I can hardly wait to see what the next year or two is going to bring. Stay tuned.
As we come to the end of the video, we have to hit pricing, and Ford has priced this thing aggressively. So in the US, you're talking about a starting price just a hair under $20,000, while here in Canada, this thing is going to start at $25,900. And let me remind you, Canadians, that is a front-wheel drive model. We sometimes don't even get the front-wheel drive models here. For example, the Hyundai Santa Cruz, that's going to be all-wheel drive only. So I'm curious to see how the front-wheel drive sells here north of the border. And then if we're talking about the Lariat all-wheel drive, if you go for that loaded up model, $34,450 here in Canada and $25,000 in the United States. And then, of course, from there, you can load up all the options. I built one of these things on the configurator in the US. Top price was between 35 and 37 grand with every single option on it. And the other thing I need to quickly point out, if you compare pricing between the Maverick and the Hyundai Santa Cruz, the Maverick actually looks pretty good. So with that in mind, I think Ford nailed the pricing here, and I just can't wait to see this thing hit the market and see how many people go out and snap it up. Well, folks, like I said, we're at the end of this video. Now, of course, I want to hear your thoughts on this Ford Maverick, so go below in the comments. Let me know what you think. As always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the join button to become a member of the channel, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next. See ya.